Welcome to another episode of PowerMove Makers. This series was created with a simple goal in mind: to bring to the table high-level executives, successful entrepreneurs, and just all-around inspiring human beings, not just focusing on their successes, but more important, shining a spotlight on the road they traveled to get there. Now, this week's guest, he really doesn't need any introduction. He is the living embodiment of you can achieve whatever it is that you are willing to dream and work hard enough for. There's really no limit to it. Please welcome to this week's PowerMove Maker series, Mr. Master P. P, welcome, man.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for taking the time out.
Oh, yeah, no, I just want to let everybody out there know the most important thing is having the freedom to feel if you want to be successful. Some of the most important people in the world have always failed before they got to their success. You look at Michael Jordan got cut in the 9th grade in high school, and it forced him the work ethics to go chase his dreams and his goals. If you look from Einstein to Warren Buffett to Bill Gates, all these guys failed so many times before they got to their dreams and their goals. I failed so many times. So don't be afraid to fail. I tell people all the time, you can never hit a home run if you're not willing to at least swing at the ball.
There you go.
So it's a marathon. It's not a race. Don't be afraid to fall down. Just keep getting back up. If you fall down 8 times and you get up 9 times, you got another chance to win again and to chase your dreams and your goals. So it's truly no limit to your success. Everybody know that I've done it. I mean, I come from poverty. To be able to be a factor in corporate America is a blessing. And people don't realize even that, it's all about ownership. But even when you look at the CEOs of the top 500 Fortune companies, we only have 0.5% African Americans. So that's why we need to change that narrative. So even while you're going to school and you're chasing your dreams and your goals, you know that the narrative have to change, and it's only going to change through ownership.
You're absolutely right, P. And I love the way you're starting the conversation off, because our audience they're all entrepreneurs, people who want to become entrepreneurs, or just people who just want more out of life. They're seeking success, even if it's working for somebody else.
Yes.
So a lot of what you just dropped is right in line with everything that we preach on this channel week in and week out. Before we go further, P, I have to congratulate you on your No Limit Chronicles.
Yes.
I enjoyed it so much. Now, I am a fan of hip hop.
Yes.
A long part of my journey was working alongside Sean Diddy Combs and building that empire, from record label to the clothing to Ciroc vodka. So from a certain standpoint, everything that you showcase, it resonates with me. I haven't done it with somebody else.
Yes.
I learned a lot about you, P. I know that you speak, and again, I don't want to focus as much on the actual documentary. I thought it was brilliant, but I would like to pull out a lot of gems that you dropped, because the way you shot it, it really was a master's class. It was educational for anybody. It wasn't just about No Limit. It was anybody who is aspiring to do something more in this life. And you dropped so many gems.
Yeah, no, it was about changing your mindset. When you grow up in a private and you have nothing, it's a mindset, because you could give anybody millions of dollars. When you talk about making power moves, everybody can't make power moves. So you really have to want it. You have to desire it. You have to be passionate about it. I noticed even in my lifetime, I've given people millions of dollars, but their mindset haven't changed. So they end up back to where they started from. And I think you can relate to this by working with Puffy and having a mindset for you making your own power moves. Some people stuck into the mirage of, okay, this person is doing it, but don't realize that everybody is their own boss. And you can't envy or be jealous of another man or woman. You have to take the opportunity you have, make the best out of it, grow with it, and then go create your opportunity. Because I think being a boss is not for everybody, and everybody see that, they want to play that role, but you really have to be committed and invest in yourself if you're going to be the boss. So some people are good. If you look at Bill Gates, his structure is he created so many other billionaires because of people following the movement that he's created, and everybody played their role on the team. Some people are not team players. Some people are just envy and jealous of the coach. And so you can't be envy and jealous of the coach. You got to play your role. I tell people all the time, if you don't like what the boss said, then you need to go get your own business. And I think that's what entrepreneurs really have to take with them. Being successful is also being able to listen and appreciate other people that came before you. Or even if you're working for somebody, you have to be a team player because you're not in control of the company. Whoever owns the company is in control. And you have to be able to work amongst your situations and make the best out of it. And so I think today should be about us teaching people how to fish and not depending on other people, and saying, and also, and if you is working for somebody, appreciate them and celebrate them.
That's right. That's right. That's why, you know, and this is not about me, but I have to, I spend a lot of time, and I always give props to Puff. And primarily, I do this because I feel like he gets beat up in the media so much. And there's not enough of us who have come out of that system and who has done well and who have changed their area codes, zip codes, and zeros in their bank account that can say, you know what? It all came because that man didn't give me a fish, but he taught me how to fish. So I'm so happy you brought this up. Let's stick to the mindset, and I'm gonna go backwards, and then I'm gonna bring it forward to some of the things you were hitting on.
Yes.
I'm a fan of hip hop. I've been around hip hop my entire life, but you were in the South. I did not know your story. I want you to talk to, it seems to me, and I could have this wrong, but you were a man with a lot of potential, but you got caught up in the streets late. It's not like you didn't do all the right things. So can you speak to somebody who right now is listening to this, or they know somebody with so much potential, but they are on the verge of throwing their life away because you get sent home from Houston where you was playing ball, you messed up your Achilles, and then you hit the streets. So you got a real late start in hitting those streets. Speak to somebody who has potential, but is essentially throwing it away.
So I want to talk to the people that's wasting their talent. Don't waste your talent. They say most of the treasures in the world is in the graveyard. Some people would never get a chance to use that or utilize because they either gonna get killed or go to jail before they get a chance to blossom. I'm a blessed man. I thank God up above, and I get on my knees every night because he spared my life and he saved my life. And my life could have been a tragedy, which now it's a testimony. And it's never too late. And I think that anybody could understand knowledge, but it's all about applied knowledge. Apply what you're doing so you can make smarter and better decisions. I didn't come from a perfect life, and I think that's why people can't relate to my story. It was a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of pain, but I used that pain not to be angry, to keep me moving, and it motivated me. Like I said, those failures motivated me. I didn't just go into a record company or radio station and just gave them hit records. I failed at so many records before I end up selling 100 million records. And Sometimes you got to crawl before you walk. You got to keep running. Life is a marathon. Everybody's race is going to be different. I'm just thankful. I think that I could thank the man up above. I put my trust and faith in God because he spared my life. And don't wait till it's too late. Anybody that's listening and watching this, don't let other people dictate your future. Don't get caught up with the yes men. Cut people off. I don't care whether they're family, friends, whatever. If they're not on the right path with you, you might have to cut them off. And I think that's what I was able to do. Realize that I only could help people so much. Now I need to help myself. I need to invest in me. If I didn't do the right thing, I wouldn't be here. So even when you look at, like you say, how people talk about Puffy, if that man didn't decide to get up every morning and work and better himself, people wouldn't be able to talk about him. He'll be dead or in prison. But he decided to say, I'm going to do something the right way. I don't have to look over my shoulders. So a lot of people don't understand that. They sit around. Everybody has 24 hours. What are you doing with your 24 hours? If you partying and playing and hanging around with negative friends, doing negative things, where you think your life going to be at? And I start realizing that as a man, and I had a kid. So I'm like, I got a son now. I have to figure this out. I had to move. I had to get away. And if I didn't do that, think about it. Who would be talking about me right now? If I didn't decide to change my mindset and break away from the negativity, that's the only way God was going to bless me with the positive things. I had to remove the negative stuff. And so we all are work in progress. Nobody's perfect. So don't be afraid to replace something negative with something positive. That's the only way to grow. And don't blame your problems on other people, on whether you're a man or a woman to be a man. Because, people always talk about keep it real. Mm-hmm. So that's what y'all don't realize. The hood is not keeping it real. If you die, go to jail, the hood is not going to care about you. They act like it. They got this certain code and everything they keep, but at the end of the day, everybody want to make it out. I don't know nobody in the hood want to stay there.
That's right. That's right.
If they get an opportunity, they hit the lottery or whatever, they gone. One thing about me, I'm never going to forget where I came from, but I have a different mindset. If you're not on the same mindset I'm on, I'm only coming back to help the kids because I want to prepare the future to save people that look like me, that has that opportunity to be great. I'm focused on the next generation education, and I'm focusing on the elderly. And I think that's the path that I'm on. In order to build a generational wealth, we got to make sure we take care of the future.
No, you're absolutely right, P. And sticking to mindset.
Yes.
You obviously are a natural born hustler.
Yes.
People throw that word around frivolously. They throw it around, I'm a hustler. Mm-hmm. To build big business, and again, I want to speak to somebody who is watching this or listening to this in podcast form. Every hustler is not an entrepreneur. It's a big difference.
Yes.
From your standpoint, can you break down for anybody who just throwing that word around?
Yeah.
You, as much of a hustler as you are, had to become an entrepreneur to become the man that you've become.
Yeah. Like I said, don't be afraid to change and grow. A lot of people, when they use that word hustler, you take that with you to your business, your job, your career. No, you have those hustler skills from starting off in an environment where I grew up at, poverty. But I didn't take that with me. If you look at it, most people that take that with them, they lose in the end. I took those skills, that work ethic, saying that if I could put this much time into something like that, imagine what I could be if I could put this into something positive. And that's what I did. I said, I want to put those hustling skills in to go take over corporate America. I want to create product. I got product. I got rice. I got barbecue stuff. I got chips. I mean, this the biggie chips.
I love it.
Which a lot of people took the Cardi B, then went to the shoe game. You know, if Nike could do it, how come we can't do it? That's what I'm talking about, hustling skills. When nobody believed in my shoes, nobody believed in what I was doing because they wasn't used to seeing a black man do the same thing that a white man could do. And that was my mission, to say, if we're buying Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, and those products made billions of dollars, how come we can't create products to do the same and be able to give back to the community? So take those hustle skills, not with you as you change your mindset and grow, but leave the negative part of that behind and take that hustle skills to do something great, something positive. And I think that's why God spared my life, and that's why he keep blessing me, because I'm not dwelling on the past. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to grow, leave the past behind. But if you had something positive, what I love when people say a hustler, the work ethic. Somebody just gonna grind and not gonna stop, just gonna keep going no matter what. But all the other stuff, I leave that behind because that can't go with me where I'm going at. If I want to build a multi-billion-dollar business, you got to leave the other stuff behind and constantly grow and build a team, because it's not just about me. When you say you're a hustler, it's only about that person. But when you grow and you evolve, you start realizing that it's no I in team. To have a great business, you need a great team. You need experts. It's not just about you. You just might be the face of the business, but your team might be what's keeping this business growing and going. So don't be afraid to recognize the value in everybody else around you.
I love that. I want you to speak, because one of the things that I loved about your documentary that you pointed out so well, actually, you started off record store.
Yeah.
You get into rapping, TRU.
Yeah.
You're selling tapes out of your trunk. This wasn't easy, and it didn't come quickly.
Nah.
And I think a lot of, where the world is today, we live in this microwave society. We want stuff right now. We just think that it's going to happen overnight. And I love that you shine the spotlight on the fact that, for me, as successful as y'all see that I am and have become, and as much of a legacy that I've had, this was a grind, and it took a long time. Can you speak to perseverance, persistence, overcoming obstacles, failures, and just staying in the race?
Well, for me, when you look at my life, even in the music business, I was from the South. I moved to the West Coast. So I sound country. My music didn't sound like everybody else's music. So the mindset was, oh, he's whack. So I took that whack, because I tell people no idea is a whack idea. But I took that, how do I get better? I'm not going to let those words stereotype my mind to not go after my dreams and my goals. I'm like, I got to get better. It's almost like a basketball player. You might beat somebody, you're like, oh man, this dude ain't that good. But you come back out there the next day, that dude out there early in the morning working on his game. And you like, man, this guy probably been out there all night because you done beat him. And that's how I looked at my music. I'm like, I got to put the time in and get better. I just kept going back to the studio, kept working on stuff to get better. Every time a radio station told me they didn't like my song, I kept coming back, going, make a new song, getting better. So I wanted to show people that my life wasn't like a lot of the other stories that you hear in hip hop, how they just came out of nowhere. They had this talent and it was just great. That wasn't for me. I had a lot of obstacles I had to overcome. It was a challenging situation for me. And I was in an uncomfortable situation because I wasn't even in my community. I was in somebody else's community, somebody else's hood. And so I had to learn their ways. I had to learn how to make music to adapt, even a sound to a West Coast audience that I had no knowledge of. And I feel like it made me better being unique, being different. So don't be afraid to be unique and different. It might be bigger dreams and goals that'll come to you in the end. And I think that's what my success came from, because I tell people all the time, never give up. That's what No Limit is about. The company is named No Limit, and Master P, because I'm a master of what I do. And we just don't quit. Mm-hmm. Even when it looked like they closed the door, we're going to go through a window or come through the chimney. And having that type of belief and faith and passion with what you're doing is going to get you. I'm telling you, when nobody else believes and you believe, they can't stop you. And that's what my life was about. When you go back and look at No Limit, that's how I got to my first hit record. Probably made 1,000 whack records. So you look at that as 1,000 failures, but 1,001, I turned it all around and took that pain away.
Whoo, I love this. I love this, P.
Yeah, just one successful thing made you forget about all the times you failed, all the times people didn't believe in you. And now you got the whole world screaming your name. I went from selling no records to 100 million records independently, changing the game. So making those sacrifices, getting up early in the morning, losing sleep. I tell people, everybody got 24 hours, but if you have a dream that you're chasing, then you're going to have to invest your time wisely. And you're going to have to understand, what do you really want out of this? I knew that I wanted success out of this, and I'm going to get it by any means. That's it. It might not happen right now. It might not happen in a year. It might not happen 2 years. It might not happen 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. But I know when I get to the top of that mountain, everybody's going to be screaming my name. And I think when you have trust and faith in God, and people don't realize my vision was bigger than everybody else. So make sure your vision is there, because people only seen the mustard seed. I was looking at the tree. I'm looking at a big old tree. They're looking at a little mustard seed, telling me, even the people that's telling me that you're not going to make it, that's pushing me even more so. I'm like, man, they don't believe in me. I ain't mad at them, but guess what? You're not coming to the party and celebrate with me because you don't believe in me. You said it. And the haters push you. They should motivate you. They should make you just want to, like, even when I was playing basketball, when somebody said, man, you ain't that good. I'm like, okay. I remember that I'm out there working on that court, dribbling the ball, shooting, like, and the next thing you know, that person telling somebody else, man, Percy Miller, that dude is the truth. And sometimes God will take you on a destination and you think it's going one way, but it'll end up somewhere else. You just got to keep working, because I thought basketball was the way for me. And
Such a great point. Such a great point. I love where you're going.
God took me to a whole nother destination. I just had to keep driving. And that destination was way bigger than what I could do with basketball.
You know, I want to touch on something that I think was, it's an incredible gem in your story. And I heard you talk about it before. I actually heard you talk about it on Solange's album, but I didn't know who you was talking about. And when I watched the documentary, it was the one part where you starting the bubble, you moving now.
Yes.
After all of the failing, now starting to move. Jimmy Iovine gives you a meeting.
Yeah.
Offers you $1 million.
Yes.
And you leave the meeting and never come back. Now, there's two things I need you to speak on. Number one, knowing your worth. Even when your bank account don't reflect it at the moment, but knowing your worth. And number two, you have a quote that I love: never take a deal when you're desperate. Yeah. Can you talk on both of those things?
Yeah. So no deal is too big to where you can't walk away from it. Because people always say, you know, this deal is too big. Nah, no deal is too big to walk away. When I went into that office and I realized, and education is so important because I pray for wisdom. I don't pray for money. When I walked into that meeting, I only had $500 in my pocket. And the guy just offered me $1 million. And I had to realize that this guy offered me $1 million. What am I really worth? 10, 20, 30, 40? So you have to know your value. You have to know your worth. And that was probably the best deal I ever turned down, because I ended up making Forbes top 40 under 40 after that. Mm-hmm. Walking away from that deal. So imagine if I would have took that deal, I only would have had $1 million. I would have been a millionaire, but that would probably been the only money I make, because education is so important. When I read that contract, I didn't think, maybe he didn't think that I was that educated because of my music. So you can't judge a book by its cover. It's probably one of the most educated guys in the business. Went to University of Houston. I was an A student in high school. So as soon as I read the deal, it said 7 years, I can't use my name. I don't own none of the rights. That right there was it for me. It's like, this $1 million, I need this $1 million. But I started realizing, my grandfather told me a long time, never do a deal when you're desperate. And I was desperate.
Good advice, by the way. Your grandfather gave you some great advice.
Yes, and I started thinking about that in the meeting. And I said, I'm gonna just go back home. And the guy told me, you'll never get a deal in this town. I said, well, I ain't really looking for no deal. I'm looking for somebody to pack fair. I'm looking for a partner. And I left, and the rest was history.
How hard was it for you? You just said, which I didn't know, you have $500 in your pocket. I don't know if that was to your name or if it was just in your actual pocket.
Yeah, I mean, that was in my pocket, but that was like as real as it get. I didn't have a lot of money at the time.
Okay, but how hard? Because $1 million to somebody, to some kid out there.
I mean, having a check in my hand, the guy gave me the check already signed.
Oh, so you actually had the check? I
had the check.
That must have been a long elevator down.
Yeah, no, it was tough. You know, like, you know what's right, but you know you need the money. Uh-huh. And it's like, man, I could take this money and I could do this and that with it, but I'm like, but then I'm selling my soul. And it's not worth it. Which a lot of people say, well, you know, that's 7 years. You know, after the contract up, you can move on. I'm like, no, that's 7 years of me being an entrepreneur and all the other things that I could do with my life, all the other creative things that I can't create. I would not have an opportunity to do that now. And I watch a lot of artists, they fighting those battles. Even today with these 360 deals, they sign these multi-million-dollar deals, but it also tie their lives up to where they can't do nothing now, and they get shelved. Their music is shelved, and the record companies put their music out when they want to. And I'm just blessed to be able to, one, put my trust and faith in God and have an education to go with it, and to have street credibility to go with it too. Because I think that's what made me dangerous, that I was already knew what was going on the streets, and I could handle myself on the streets, and then to be educated and be able to articulate in a corporate meeting, and just having value in integrity. I think that made me the most dangerous guy in the music industry, and having God and knowing that I put my trust and faith in Him and not in man. I think it made me different, because I had no ego, never had an ego. And I'm all about doing the right thing. But by me growing up on the streets, I'm like, they knew that I was a different breed, but I've always treated people the way they treat me. And people don't realize your word is everything. I've always kept my word, and I've always given respect and demand that same thing back from somebody else. And I think that's just the way I live, because there's a lot of people with money, but no respect.
Correct.
And you can't buy love. People realize you could buy pleasure, but you can't buy love. I don't care how much money you have.
Correct.
And I think those are things that made me different from a lot of the moguls and a lot of people in the industry. But it put me in a place by myself, because I never really had a lot of friends in the industry. So people always ask me all the time, but P, how come you don't have a lot of friends in the industry? Because I think in the end, those friends end up being enemies. And so I've always read the book of war, A Good Soldier Prepared for War in Time of Peace. And I don't mind being with myself and my family instead of just living for a party or living to play or living to show people what I have. I could jump in a Rolls Royce, or I could ride in a Dodge truck. It don't show who I am. And I learned that from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett could ride around in a Honda. He know what he has in the bank.
There you go.
So even with me, I done drove by some people in Rolls Royces, and I'm in my truck, and I know these guys don't have what I have.
Mm-hmm.
A car don't make me, material don't make me. I realize all this is temporary anyway, and we can't take this with us. I watched the guy who created Apple, the iPhones. When he passed, his wife on a boat with somebody else. So this is all temporary success. Some people don't even get a chance to enjoy.
That's right.
Labor. And so I'm just thankful, man, with everything that's going on with COVID-19, and people are dying. We're losing so many great people. I'm saying time is more important than money.
Well, I want to touch on something you said earlier. I'm sorry, Pete. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So time you can't get back. Any entrepreneur that's listening and watching this, time is more important than money.
Great points. Before we move it on, I want to touch on something that you said earlier. Two things, actually. Number one, you talked about how the streets, you knew the streets.
Yeah.
And that gave you the edge. And I want to point this out to anybody who's out there and you're struggling and you come from not the best circumstances, no money, things just don't seem to be going your way.
Yeah.
You don't know what God is preparing you for.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, I must trust the process.
Yeah.
Because if God has you there, it's for a reason, and he's building you up. In your case, you was on the streets.
Yes.
And those street smarts helped you when you made it into them corporate suites.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I just want to touch on. No matter where you are, guys, and you're listening to this, please understand. Embrace where you are. Fight to get out of there, but embrace where you are, because you don't know what God is preparing you for. And the second thing, Pete, that you spoke about again and again and again was education.
Yes.
I love the part of your story where you went after and sought education from probably the most successful at that time lawyer in the game, being Michael Jackson's attorney.
Yes.
And it cost you $25,000, or you charged $25,000 an hour. I don't know if you paid him, whatever it was. But he gave you some of the best advice in your life. And I just love the fact, and again, I want to push this to somebody out there. Seek wise counsel. It's something my grandfather used to always tell me. Seek wise counsel, seek education. And in your case, just speak on that for a second, Pete. What was it that made you, because there's a lot of attorneys out there. And I'm sure that you had access to a bunch of lesser expensive attorneys at the moment. But you chose to go for the best because you were seeking that education.
Yeah, well, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. That's the first thing you need to know. And when you're in a business and you want to be successful, you have to deal with the experts. At that time, Michael Jackson attorney was the top attorney in the game. He already closed probably one of the biggest deals ever for Michael Jackson. I mean, he had Neverland. I mean, you see a black guy having that type of money. And Michael Jackson was only getting 22% of record. And when I left out that meeting with that guy, which I spent $25K, that was in the 90s, early 90s. And that was probably the best money I ever spent. And
how long
that guy,
do you remember how long that meeting was?
That meeting was 15 minutes.
So you telling me for education,
Yes.
investing in yourself,
Yeah.
you spent $25,000 for 15 minutes, but it turned out to be the best money you ever spent.
Yeah.
Go ahead, P.
And when I sit down with the guy, he told me, he said, the only deal you could get better than Michael Jackson would be a distribution deal where you get 85% and a record company get 15%. But he didn't think that would never happen. And he also told me I'm going to need $200,000 of marketing money if they did give me a deal like that. So when I left, I went and got prepared. I started selling my cassettes and CDs out the trunk of my car and just building up some capital to be able to do a deal of that magnitude. And they just go to show you when God is for you. I end up bumping into Priority Records, and he asked me what kind of deal I wanted. I said, I want a distribution deal. And they wanted to give me a lot of money up front. And I'm like, I don't want no money. I just want a distribution deal. You know, the rest was history. And I think that's how God worked. But that's how education worked. When you have the right tools to deal with your business, and people look at it like, man, he spent a lot of money, but I was preparing to make a lot of money. Those are the type of goals that I set. Like I said, some people was only seeing the mustard seed. I was seeing a tree. I'm about to build a whole money tree now to where I could feed so many families. I can create millionaires now. It's not just gonna be me. And once I got that deal, I was able to put records out when I want, how I want it. And that was something a lot of artists back in those days couldn't do because the record company had the control. When I put up my own money, now I have the control. So people don't realize that's what it is to be a boss, to be an owner of a company, is being able to control the narrative. That's why we are losing right now. We out here fighting, we out here protesting because we don't control the narrative for our life. That's why we have so much injustice. We fight for equality. We don't have African-American judges, African-American politicians that we are voting into these offices. They control that now. So they control the narrative even in Hollywood because we don't own that. When you look at the actor that just died,
Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, that played Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. When you pull up on the internet, which we afraid to look at the truth, you see his salary was $500K for a movie like that made billions. We also go and look at his signing bonus back end was 0.1%. So he ended up off $1 billion and something dollars. He ended up probably walking away with $2 million. But when you go look at Robert Downey Jr. and say $75 million for Avengers, that kind of makes you mad. And now Chad is the biggest actor ever in the world. And what I hate, when he was losing weight, this is a man that was fighting. People was going on social media, gospel sites, like he's doing drugs, what's wrong with him? They had all kind of memes about him. That's why we have to control the narrative. It's only gonna happen through ownership. They're continuously beating up on us because all we wanna do is pay our light bill, gas bill, and keep a roof over our head, and they know that. We don't wanna go through the pain and the suffering to say, okay, I might be doing this for a couple of years, but the payoff is going to be so big that I'm not going to have to worry about this no more. And that's what's being an entrepreneur is about. That's what's making those sacrifices to be at the top of your game is about. We need more of us. It don't need to be one, or Puffy, or Jay-Z, or Master P, or whatever. It need to be more. We need to have thousands. I mean, they have hundreds of thousands. They have so many different people that when you look at right now, even in Hollywood, most of our people are just happy to have a job. But when you talk about it's unfair at the end, you can look it up because now it's social media. It's social media that is not hidden. It's right there in black and white. I'm watching now Chad movies come on ABC, everything now. Now they're putting out Jackie Robinson again. If we go back and look at how much that man made off those movies, you're going to be angry. Disney should give some money to his family, to his estate. Like they're making too much off us because we don't own nothing. Now we're the greatest talent in the world. I'm changing that narrative where I realize that product outweighs talent. I realize that the products I'm making is going to be around even when I'm not here where I can feed my family off it. Mm-hmm. That's the type of generational wealth they build. So when I walked out that office with that contract, that's what I was thinking. I don't want just a check because they brainwash. I mean, even in hip hop, everybody won't get the check. That's what they saying now, to get the bag, get the check. Yeah, but that check is still bringing you back to 400 years of slavery that we're not going to get over unless we do it with ownership. And people say, how do we beat, people ask me all the time, P, how do we beat that 400 years ago? Because everybody angry and mad about that. I say, you know how you beat it? You beat it with education. You beat it with ownership. You beat it with success. You don't keep dwelling on the past. You beat it with success because we already behind. We 400 years behind. How do we beat it? We beat it with success. And it starts with us. It starts with us having a conversation like we having, and it starts with us recognizing that we already 400 years behind. So we got a lot of work to do. And we got to do it with unity because we're stronger together. I want to celebrate my brothers that are successful. I don't want to envy them. I don't want to count their pockets. I just want to celebrate them.
I love it. I love it. Let's stick to that word conversation for a second. You said it starts with a conversation like you and I are having.
Yes.
But let's speak, because I think so many people are not successful or even where they want to be. Everybody has a dream.
Right, listen to this. They're afraid to do what we're doing right now, having a conversation. Because think about it. African Americans, we want to outdo each other. Mm-hmm. Everybody want to outdo me in the music business. I'm saying use me. You don't have to outdo me. If that happens, it happens. Everybody want to outdo Puffy. Everybody want to outdo Jay-Z. Y'all don't have to outdo us. Utilize our wisdom. Utilize our expertise. We could help you get bigger deals than even we had. And so that's what I got that lawyer for. People don't realize. I went to the best because I knew he was used to closing big deals. Mm-hmm. We don't utilize each other. We don't have conversation with each other. And we're not. So my thing is too, we don't show each other our work. So imagine all the people I hired, even in my company, I paid them their work and their value. That's what I was bringing on. So if I'm going to hold a conversation with this guy, I'm saying, here, man, what is your work? And I'm only in there for 15 minutes. And I paid this man $25K. We don't want to pay people that look like us because of our skin tone. Well, I shouldn't be paying him because he already got money. No, that's not business. But you're going to pay the shoe salesman that knows nothing about your business. We're going to pay a shoe salesman to teach me about the music business.
There you go.
It makes no sense to me. You're going to pay a shoe salesman to show you some financial advisor about your business that they know nothing about. just because they put a suit and a tie on and walk in the room and look like a businessman. Because we're afraid of us. We have to stop being afraid of us. And that's what's happening right now with us and the police. The police are afraid of us. We're afraid of them. Nobody having a conversation, because there's good people and bad people underneath those badges. That's it. There's good people and bad people in the world. That's it. The bad people should be incarcerated. The good people should be celebrated. That's what we're doing now. We have to celebrate us having this conversation. All the stuff that you've done. Think about it. You're not sitting around angry at Puffy. You like celebrating Puffy because you know you're your own man. That lets you know you can go out there and get it. You played your role. Now it's time for you to go do what you need to do. And that's what being a boss is about. A boss is not mad at the next boss. Even if you look at back in the days, when you see the bosses come in the room, they all celebrate each other because they all are doing their part. Everybody is playing a role. And we playing the crabs in the buckets role, so we want to take the other one down instead of letting them go blossom. Because now we can help the community. We can help the kids. I tell people all the time, the more I make, the more I can give. I can't give if I don't make nothing. Think about it.
There you go.
So it's a lot of people, like even when I came out with the noodles, how much sodium? And I said, well, how much sodium is in ramen noodles? Give me a chance to put something on the shelf. I put the rice out. Well, is the rice healthy? You've been buying Uncle Ben for 130 years. Nobody ever asked, was it? And I go to the same company and get my rice made. Let me get it on the shelf, and then I can make you something for Whole Foods, because everybody don't want that. But if you want a healthy alternative, we are making those products, but we have to get in there and get the shelving space. You know how hard it is for a black man to get into Walmart and Target and all these chain stores?
Yes, I do.
It's hard, but our people, you know, they don't understand that. We have to stop putting each other down before we get it. Even with my shoes, people, well, you know, I don't like this. You didn't like Nike at first. But as soon as they got Jordan, you brought Nike because of Jordan. That's a multi-billion-dollar company that Jordan don't even hold no stock in. Think about it. He became a billionaire for owning his trademark, his name. Other than that, they would have just paid Jordan whatever they paid him and have been done.
That's right.
So this is about educating us. Give us a chance and opportunity, because if we putting money into business that come from us, then we could put money back into the community. And I tell people all the time, we don't have to burn down our blocks. We could buy them back. And we only could do that through economic empowerment. And it starts with us. You know,
you touched on so much, and there's so many different areas I can go. Yeah. Before we move on, I just want to, as much as we're having this dialogue,
yes,
I want anybody out there who is seeking success or aspiring to become their own boss. You can conversate all day long with others, but the conversation that matters the most is the one that you have with yourself.
Yes.
Just you, the four walls, and the dark. And
you got.
Go ahead, Pete.
You have to be real with yourself. Most people are not real with themselves. You have social media now, so everybody. So I tell people all the time, you can fool everybody else, but you're a fool when you try to fool yourself. So be realistic with yourself. Know where you at. Know your value.
You gotta know your value, and you also have to, because it's gonna be.
Well, you have to know. Let me tell you something.
Right.
You have to know who you're not to know who you are.
That's such a big. That's such a great thing.
That's the most important thing, because, like, for me, people say, "Well, P, you changed." I say, "Yeah." Who are you? I'm not a gangster. I'm not a street guy. I'm an entertainer. And the only reason I know that, because I know who I'm not.
There you go.
I don't have nothing to prove to you. I don't need to be the hardest guy in the world. Like, that is not me. So if you're looking for that, you're not going to find that with me. Now, I am a guy that's a stand-up guy. I live an eye for eye, but I'm not who you think I am. And I know that. I don't need to be the realest guy in the world. All the real dudes are dead or in prison. Let's get that straight. I'm a free man. I'm doing righteous. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm a father. I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm an entertainer. And I'm a philanthropist. I know that. But I'm not a street guy. I know that. I'm not the toughest guy in the world. That's why you got to know who you're not. I done stood up to many bullies. But I'm not somebody that has to be the realest person in the world for you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going backwards because I know that I'm going forward and I'm not looking back. I educated myself. I put my trust and faith in God. I live for my family. I live to better myself. I changed my mindset. I broke so many negative stereotypes that people place on us, people that look like us, even in the business world. When I could walk into a corporate America meeting and tell some corporate white guys who I'm not. So let's get that in your head right now. Yeah, you done seen the movies, you done seen the records, you done heard the records, but let me show you who I'm not. Yes, I've come from that in the past, but let me show you how I've grown and evolved as a man. And I'm not afraid to change, just like you. Show me your past. I could tell any white guy in corporate America, you didn't live a perfect life because nobody is perfect unless you Jesus. So you done been through things too. So you understand that. But I'm going to tell you who I'm not so you can know who I am. And that's the only way. But if you live in this fake make-believe world for these people, and even for social media or whatever, you're never going to be successful. Because you live in to prove something to people who, think about it. I need to prove how successful I am for somebody on a blog talking about me that has nothing. Why? I don't have to. I just need to keep doing what I got to do to get better. And how you kill a hate, you kill it with success. Maybe they don't see it right now, but guess what? You keep going. They will see it in the end. So anybody that's out there, don't be afraid if you come from a troubled path, but don't let that take you into your future. I had Johnny Cochran's, and Johnny Cochran's told me, he said, P, I love what you're doing with your life. People are not gonna stereotype you for your family and your friends. You know why? You have to be the best you could be. People are not stereotyping me for my brother. My brother's a crackhead. I'm one of the top lawyers in the world. Mm-hmm. When I looked at that, it hit me. I'm like, that's crazy. We all dealing with something. But you have to be the best you could be. If you want to be successful, you want to be different. If you know who God is, you got to do the right thing. You can't worry about what your family members or friends are doing. You're not twins, you know. You're not going to die together. You know, so you're going to be accountable for your own sins and your own problems. And so even as a business person, when you get into this business world and being an entrepreneur, you got to know that this is all temporary success. So it's what you do with what you have. That's going to determine your character and what type of person you are. And I think that even when everybody else against you, like God said in the Bible, he'll take what people use for evil and turn it into good. So even me growing up in the projects and never having nothing, had to deal with everything I had to deal with. Now, the man who I am, God used that to where now my testimony is so strong that I could help save other people that come from that want to be saved. You can't save everybody. They have to want it. They have to want to say, your testimony is real. Because some people going to go do their own thing anyway. I don't care whether it's family members, friends, or whatever. Some people could look at your testimony and say, man, I'm going to do it like P did it. He looked forward and kept going. Now, the ones who want to go backwards, they got to deal with whatever in going backwards. The man that's going forward, he's got to deal with the new chapter of his life to where now we going forward, we can help, we can teach, we can give the blueprint. This is how we made it, because we know one thing, we can't take it with us. So my life is like a sponge, and I want to give that blueprint to the next generation that wants success, seeking success, that's hungry for knowledge. That's what my life is about now.
You're touching on a couple of points I want to zone in on. When you finally did it, you hit it out the park all the way.
Yeah.
You put out 23 albums in 1 year. I don't know if there has ever been an independent record label before you or after you that was able to put that many successful projects out. But the point I'm getting to is you did it your way, and you keep on talking about it's temporary.
Yeah.
What I'd like for you to speak to, because we see companies like Kodak, you know, they used to make film for cameras, but everything went digital. MySpace was the biggest thing in the world. Black Planet, some of these things that you thought would never go away, they came and they left. How important is it that once you hit your stride, you stay laser focused and you take advantage of that moment, and just having the understanding that this will not last forever?
I don't care who you are. If you Michael Jackson, whatever. Michael Jackson was the biggest artist in the world, and all of a sudden you come down. And I realized that in the music business, I sold 100 million records, but I realized it wasn't gonna last forever. Everybody has a season when it comes to being a star, when it comes to entertainment. And that's why I say product outlasts talent. And that's what I was building. I used the hype of my success in the entertainment world to go and create other brands and business, clothing, shoes, food, real estate. Because I realized coming from New Orleans, when a hurricane comes, you got to start over again. And so I diversified my portfolio. Some people tell you, no, be great at one thing. Nah, you be great at one thing, you're gonna be broke.
I want to chime in there. Chime in there, Pete.
Yeah.
Because everybody will tell you, lock in on one thing.
Yeah.
You know, diversify once you have that one thing mastered. It is when should people diversify? Because go ahead.
So let me tell you when you should diversify, right? When you know that you're successful at that one thing and you done broke the mold now, you're there. You got to realize, like we talked about earlier, you're not gonna be there. Once you get to the top, what happens? You start crumbling down. That's just anything. Go look at IBM, all these great companies that you thought, like you say, Kodak. Times have changed. Even in the music business, it went digital. So a lot of record companies had to regroup. They had to join forces together just to stay alive. Movie companies now, with everything that's going on with COVID. So think about this, even athletes, they tell you, if you're an athlete, just be the best athlete you could be. But why a lot of those big white athletes have all these other different companies? Because they realize they're not gonna be able to play forever. But they program us to think that we're gonna play forever. And that's not true. So while you have your moment, then you get into these other things. You go, if you're an athlete, you can start creating your own clothing, your own brands, your own products, because you know while you hot. Imagine if you do that while you're hot. Now look at the different revenues, resources that you have created. That's probably gonna make more money than you're making on the court now because you're so hot. Imagine at one time, Kobe Bryant could have did anything to make money off the court with product because he was so valuable to the world. Even looking at his debt, how people moaned and people couldn't go on. This is how important this guy was to our culture and even other cultures. from China to Europe to all these different places. Imagine if he had his own product at the time when he first was in the league. These brands would have outlived him. That's what I'm saying. And we don't see that. We wait till it's done. Then we try to create something. You got to create the hype while you're hot. So that's why I said diversify your portfolio. When you're hot, that's the time to hit with other avenues. Even if you look at the Kardashians, you look at Kylie Jenner, these people built brands. Soon as people start locking into them on TV, they built billion-dollar brands. Why we can't do that? Why we wait till it's too late? We don't know our power until it's gone. And now you're trying to do it. I mean, just imagine a lot of these athletes and entertainers, why they hot, the products that they could put into the Walmarts and all these different stores. So that's what I'm looking at as us being able to. So they teach us how to go get the check. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about how to keep the check, sustainability. Even when your time up, look at George Foreman. George Foreman built the grill. He probably made more money off the grill than he made boxing.
Yeah, he absolutely did.
He diversified his portfolio.
Correct.
He didn't just look at, he said, man, look, I got a fan base now. I'm a boxer. Let me see what else I could get into.
No, you're so right. In the question is, and I think you answered it perfectly, is when do you diversify? Because I think some people jump out the window a little too early, and others, they jump out the window a little too late once their star has started to dim. So that's hot. Spot is
you hot.
Huh?
Yes. Once you hot, diversify your portfolio. Whether you're an athlete, entertainer, it don't matter. Business people do it. Think about all the top real estate CEOs of companies, owners, technology, or whatever. These guys go invest their money into other things. I mean, I've always say, I'm going to take 10% of my money, I'm going to tie because I'm a man of God. Then I'm going to take 10% of my money and I'm going to go find.
Hold on, stop there. Whoa. We're not going past that one too quick. Master P takes 10% of his money in tithes?
Yes. That's how my business stays.
Oh my goodness, I love that. We're going to stick on that because I was interviewing Rodney Jerkins not too long ago. And he's the only brother who I've ever sat and talked with, and we were able to have just a few minutes on faith. Yes. And he understood, Shawn, all these hits that I done created, they didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah. I gotta give back to the creator.
Let me tell you something. When you understand that, you'll be successful a long time because every time you take that 10%, God will multiply that. You'll get 10-folds of everything that you can get. He wants you to be fruitful. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to have more.
I love that you said that, and I'm gonna make a segment out of this because I want the world to know. Master P, hip hop mogul, pays 10% to the Lord, 10% of all his earnings, as he should.
Not only me, my son do that, all my kids do that, Rome do the same thing. Like that is how we was raised. And we realized that's the only thing that's keeping it. Even when it looked like, people don't realize when it looked like it's gonna be rough, when you take care of God, he always take care of you.
That's right. That's right. I want to change the conversation real quick. Yeah. You are known for taking care of your family. Yes. From day one, you brought your family with you. Your friends, your family, you brought them all with you.
Yes.
I want to turn this around a little bit because I hear you talking about it and you tapped on it in the beginning of the interview, and I've seen other interviews that you've done. Can you speak to the weight that comes with being the bank for your family, and also the weight that the let's just call it the provider, the financial provider for the family, the weight that comes with just saying that simple word no? Because at some point, people come to you and they come to you and they come to you and they don't realize all of the other expenses that you have in your life. And the first time that you tell them no, then you become the worst person on earth. You not taking care of such and such when they have their own family. So can you speak to that?
I think the most important thing with that, God know the truth and they know the truth. But I think it's sad because only African Americans mostly have to go through this. I don't see too many white families have to go through this. And I think people come, once you're successful, they're entitled, whether they're family members or friends. But what if you didn't go and work for your dreams and your goals, and you was just at the same space they are? Then you owe nobody nothing. They'll be happy with you. They'll be happy sitting in the ghetto with you, smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer with you, and just laughing and talking about none of us gonna make it out of here, but we just happy that we kicking it. So people got to realize that, you know, as you constantly help people, you also hindering them. You're really hindering them. And I had a chance to experience that because that's where the hate come from at the end. You know, people expect me to, I'm gonna tell you, I had a family member expect me to take care of their father. I'm like, if I brought your father a house and he lost it 20 years later, why is that my fault that you put a mortgage on it? Or I mean, I don't know. I thought I did a good deed for your father. What have you done for my father? What have you done for me? And it's sad that we have to go through that. And you love your people, but they are the only ones that can hurt you because you love them so much to where before you look at hurt, you'll love them from a distance and say, you know what, I got to give them tough love. Mm-hmm. And I think most of us that are successful, you're going to deal with this. I'm creating a class, a Master P master class on helping future millionaires and billionaires deal with family issues once you're successful. Because I'm an expert at it now. People love you when you say yeah. They hate you when you say no. They figure you change. Yeah, I have to change if I'm going to be successful. Think about it. You need to change too. That's my message to them. Don't be afraid to change. I'm human. I'm not God. I'm just doing the right things. That's why my sustainability is so long. God has blessed me to with 30 years, I'm still successful. That means I'm doing the right thing. And I done gave to so many. And I realize why so many billionaires and millionaires say they'll take the money they made and they'll donate it to charity when they're not here anymore, instead of leaving it for ungrateful family members. And I'm never gonna stop loving my family, but I'm not gonna let them keep using me and thinking that I'm supposed to keep taking care of grown people. And I think any celebrity, any entertainer, any pro athlete been going through this, but nobody's saying nothing about it. I feel like I had to take a stand on it and really let people know, even in my family, that I love y'all, but you know, it's time for y'all to start taking care of somebody. I did it for 30 years, you know, and I always say, like, people always say, what do you give the man that has everything? I say, what about a card? What about love? What about a just simple thank you? And if you could do that, then we don't mind giving, but we're not going to give you no more to where we hinder you, because some of y'all need to do something with y'all lives. I did it. I come from that same project you come from. What's the difference? I just wanted something. I'm not going to sit back there and drink and hang out with my friends and expect to have a nice car, a nice house. Let's be honest. You get comfortable with being in the ghetto, so you're going to be in the ghetto. When you get uncomfortable being in the ghetto, you're going to get your ass out and go do something with your life. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I did. I'm no different. So Anybody that understand that, yeah, the media and the blogs, they're going to have fun with that because they don't have nothing else negative to say about you but what your family could say about you. All the good you do, they're not going to put that in the gossip, in the blog sites. No. And you got to understand that. That's just business for them. We get it. But for the people that really know the truth, because, you know, when it comes to doing stuff for family members, you got to wire money to bank accounts. It's information. It's receipts of all that. I got a lot of those. How many family members could say they wired me some money? How many family members could say they took care of lawyers and stuff for me? And if somebody constantly doing that for you, even with my kids, if my kids keep doing something wrong, I'm going to cut them off. That's just life. That's just being a parent. I don't need to be a parent for grown family members that has their own family and kids. So I just think that we have to start being more responsible for ourselves. And I'm going to always love them, but okay, so you don't love me no more because I said no today. How crazy is that?
Yeah, this is deep stuff, and it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Yes, it needed to be had, to be honest with you, because we're afraid to talk about this. Because you know what? People, oh, I'm going to go to TMZ. I'm going to go this. You ain't going to do this for me. Go. Think about it. Like, that's my thing. When you're doing right, let God take care of the rest. God will make your enemies your footstool, it said in the Bible. And he'll make what some choose for evil, he'll turn it into good.
There you go.
So let's not be afraid to do what's right. Yeah, doing what's right gonna be uncomfortable sometimes. But that's life. Then you move on and go do what you gotta do. My thing was, no, my family never truly understand that. What if I gave up? I don't have to be Master P. Not too many people survive the entertainment business for 30 years. Think about it. I'm not even doing music. I don't care about the past. I diversified my portfolio into go into product because I realized in my life that I want more for my family. I want to build a generational wealth for my kids. Who's going to take care of my kids? And if I'm going to do the right thing, I need to stay focused on doing the right thing. I'm not going backwards. And that's any man. They say in the Bible, don't no man owe you nothing but love. And it's a lot of people out here that get caught up in, they want to be real. I told you, all the real people, all the real hood people are dead or in jail. I don't want to be real. I just want to do real stuff to help my people, help the unfortunate kids in the world, and help the elderly. And if my family don't get it, that's fine. I'm focusing on that. I made the money I have, I worked for it, and I could give it to who I want. I'm gonna invest in unfortunate kids' lives, in the elderly. That's where I'm going at with my money that I work for. And I could choose to do that because I feel like, you know, there's a lot of sick kids out here. There's a lot of kids that live in underprivileged communities that really can deserve the help and will appreciate the help. And these kids will go on and blossom and do something to help the next generation. That's how we keep going.
Absolutely. Before we wrap this up, and I appreciate you for being so gracious with your time, brother.
Yes.
And so open and candid, you know, with your answers. Can you speak, because I had a conversation with Dame Dash recently, right?
Yes.
And me and him disagree on a fundamental principle. Mm-hmm. I don't think everybody's built to be an entrepreneur. He thinks everybody is.
Yeah.
So we butted heads on that. Yeah. But here's what's something that I think we all can agree on.
Yes.
When you are the entrepreneur, the HNIC, the buck stops with you, mm-hmm. you are always looking for somebody to step up because heavy is the head that wears the crown. And in your case, I see now Romeo has stepped up.
Yes.
He's taken that family name. He's taken all of the work that you put in to the next level and into the future. Can you speak on the importance of people stepping up, even if you're not going, even if you have no aspirations to run the company one day, but how important that number 2 person is?
Yeah, well, that number 2 person is so important. That's the only way to build a generational wealth. That's how you keep it going. And I don't think that every person is made to be an entrepreneur. You have to be committed. You have to be passionate about what you believe in. You have to be trustworthy, because being an entrepreneur, that means you're going to make sure everybody else eat before you eat. Everybody can't do that. It's been plenty of times when I first started my business, when Christmas time came, my kids didn't have none because I had to pay my employees. Everybody don't have that mindset. If you're a selfish person, it's hard to be an entrepreneur because you have to run the business, the brand. And I take my hat off to the real entrepreneurs out there, because you're constantly dealing with other people's negativity, well, what they think, or just the way it should go. And being a boss, you're gonna have to make decisions that you're gonna have to live with. And so to have other people and prepare other people to keep your business going is so important. And I'm able to sleep good at night knowing that my son mentally is ready, physically is ready, spiritually is ready. And he realized the same thing I realized, that our whole life is about helping people. But now it's about helping the right people. And he know there's some people he's gonna have to cut off in his business, whether it's family or friends. It's not personal when you're an entrepreneur in this business. And doing the right thing is so important. And showing that love to others, but not letting others take advantage of you. So we are prepared to build a generational wealth, and my other kids are coming right behind them. So when you talk about us as a family, we're doing something, what they've been doing for years, being able to hand down business to our descendants. And that's the game changer. But you have to educate the whole team, the whole family. And the ones that are unappreciative, you got to cut them off, because they can't, you can't let one bad apple spoil a whole bunch. And I think when you have God and you put God first, so we put God in everything when we do. We put him in our business first, let God help us with this, that we bring the right people in our business, we hire the right people, we make the right deals. And I think that's what keeps us going. That's what makes our business a whole. And we appreciate the fans, the people that support our business. And I think that's what life is about, man. It's not just about us. It's about doing what's right.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Number one, right? You spoke about creating generational wealth.
Yes.
But a lot of times, even with distant family, well, I wouldn't even call them distant family. You spoke a little bit earlier about family that are unappreciative. And they say, what do you get a guy who has everything? Yeah. You mentioned love, a card. But stepping in and giving hard work, showing that, you know, I am capable. I am willing.
Come to work too. Come to work. Instead of coming with your hand out, come with a hand up.
There you go.
You know,
there you go.
And then we could do this together, so it won't have to be one-sided, where we think, what about all of us doing our part? That's people that's appreciative.
But I don't think people understand that people who are in your position, high-level entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneurs, high-level executives, they're looking for somebody to step up. They're looking for somebody to bring a skill set to the table that can help take this business to the next level.
Yes.
So people, you know, if you're watching this and you have a cousin or a friend or somebody in the family who is doing well, instead of going with your hand out, get in where you fit in. Don't be afraid to start at the bottom and work your way up and show I am not here to take. I'm here to give. I see what you're doing. And if you're going to diversify and you're going to be able to go out there and do all of the other things that you have a passion for doing, your primary business is in good hands. That is the way to get in.
Yeah. So my thing is, too, what I want to tell you, I don't mind sharing with my family, but I'm not going to let people use me. So people got to realize the one thing that we say, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. And our motto is love people and use money. Most people, it's opposite. They use people and love money. And I think that's where the disconnect comes from. I mean, if you show that person that's successful love, they're going to show you love back. But if you just only come around to use somebody or when you want something, you're probably not going to get it. And I think any celebrity, any entertainer that's watching this, and this is not something we want to dwell on because this is the past. We're moving forward. We're going to do great business and we're going to grow from this. And sometimes you got to go through something uncomfortable just to be able to grow and change and get better and heal as a family. I think this is going to heal a bunch of people, you know, knowing that I'm not going to be the same way I used to be there for y'all. You can't just call me all the time and I'm just going to magically make it happen for you no more. You're going to have to start doing something now. Same way I did, because I was living in a worse situation than all of my family members are living in right now. And my thing is, I'm not going to be held accountable for grown people that can do for themselves. I mean, some people in my family are police officers. These people got great minds. And they still expected me to do something for them. I'm like, well, you guys got great jobs. And I mean, my kids, much as I have, my kids don't mind working. My kids want to go out and find jobs. And I'm like, you don't really have to do that. Like, dudes, but what I love about it, that they want to do something for themselves. And that's what I see. That's what makes me help them and get them and make life a little more easier for them because they're willing to work for what they want because they realize that what are you going to do if I'm not here? And that's my thing. Like, if you put all the pressure on me for you to be successful, what do you do when I'm not here? You know, you don't appreciate what you have till it's gone. And if you never did nothing for yourself, how do you expect to have anything? Think about it. Why I'm not in jail, why I'm not in trouble and all that, because I decided to do the right thing. That's just it. If you want to sit around and hang out with your friends all day, then guess what? Then, you know, if your friends do something wrong, then you're probably going to be liable for it. That's just how life goes. When you're doing what's right, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, and like my thing is now, man, let me tell you what's so great. When the police pull me over, I don't even have to license and registration. Here it is right here, sir. And I go on about my business. That's because I'm doing the right thing. So anybody watching this, when you do the right thing, blessings are going to come to you. And you don't have to worry about nobody else or what somebody doing for you or they not doing, especially if you're a grown person. So let's go back on to the love part and say, if we love each other, all the rest of it, me and you talked about it earlier, this life is temporary. They got so many things going on. You got COVID-19, you got police brutality, you got people dying in the streets. You got, I mean, it ain't even about money no more. So I think people put too much value in a dollar instead of time. We talked about this earlier because when you can't get time back, you get money back. So once you spend that time on loving somebody and see where you get, even loving yourself. Most people hate themselves. It's self-hate. How could you love somebody else when you already got so much self-hate in you? So everybody looking for somebody to make them happy. But the Bible says you truly have to make yourself happy.
Before we close this out, I got 2 more questions for you.
Yes.
First one, you know, we went through this at Bad Boy. You went through it at No Limit. And I think for anybody who is watching this, especially coming from the environments we come from, you have this sense of loyalty. And in some cases, it's an over sense of loyalty. Now, in our case, we had artists after artists after artists leave the label.
Yeah.
You had artists after artists after artists leave the label.
Yeah.
Can you just speak to the fact that sometimes you have this false sense of loyalty? Because everybody who comes with you, they're not meant to be there the whole ride. They're not meant to get to the finish line, whatever your finish line, because sometimes you might pivot.
Well, let me
take you in a different direction.
Yeah. So let me tell you this. Everybody has a season. Everybody is not there for the long haul because their mindset is not there. So think about it. All the people that left my label, they end up going to other labels. What happened? Why are they only talking about what they done when they was with me? This 20, 30 years ago. People are still talking about what they done with No Limit. I'm not talking about what I done with No Limit. That is over. That I'm moved on to something else. That's why I got product. Product do not talk back. Product do not talk back. I don't need to worry about what somebody doing with their money or their bread or what they don't have. When I sell this product, I can move on. It's business. I got into this game for business. I didn't get into in the friends that I tried to create and cherish. I realized in the end, it was all about a dollar. And that's the sad part about it. And I allowed them to move on. What's different from me, I don't know if Puffy did this, but I tore up people contracts when it's time to leave. I didn't get no money for them. That's just the type of boss I am. I don't want, if we can't have a relationship, I don't want to be in business with you. I have to have a good relationship with you for us to do good business. And so I let people move on. And I also use No Limit as a university. The ones that graduated and move on, we have a healthy relationship after our business. And we still could pick up the phone. I still could pick up the phone, call Snoop. I could still pick up the phone, call certain people. But other people I can't because they wanted to do something that made no sense. And I allowed them to do it. I tore their contracts up. And however it worked out, people only still talk about when they was with me. You go look at a bunch of artists that left the label that went sign to different labels, did their own labels, and why are we still talking about No Limit?
Well, so, I think you touched on the best point. It was the best answer you could give. Everybody who comes into your life,
yes,
sometimes it's just meant to be there for a season. They're not meant to
be appreciative for that. That's probably was the best season they ever had in their life. And if it was, appreciate it and celebrate it. Why are we angry and upset with each other? Because anybody that ever gave me $1, I'm going to tell them I appreciate it. And I know I done gave people millions of dollars that still don't get it. And that's on them. Like I said, my motto is to love people and use money. It's a tool. It's a temporary tool that we can't take it with us. I don't know nobody going to have a U-Haul falling behind their hearse in the end.
Correct.
So it's about what you do on this earth, the mark that you make on this earth. And I think that's the most important thing. I mean, like I said, we don't chase money, we make money. We don't pray for money, we pray for wisdom.
Let's close it out on a positive note.
Yes.
During the course of your journey, what's your happiest moment?
Well, my happiest moment is watching.
And I want you to really think about this. If you know it, then go. Yeah. But I want you to think about that question before you go into it.
I mean, I ain't got to think about it. My happiest moment is creating other Black millionaires that come from the ghetto and being able to celebrate with them and say, man, we made it out of poverty. And look, the nice cars, the nice houses we have. And I mean, that was unforgettable for me. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. If people wanted, myself included, we want to pick up Uncle P's rice, noodles. If I want to pick up the sneaker, where do we go find your entire catalog of products?
Yeah, you could just look up the product name. Is there, got websites for it, it's in stores. So if you want the shoes, go to Monyatti.com, MONEYATTI.com. You want the clothes, official Monyatti. You want the Uncle P Rice, go to Uncle P Rice. You want the Rap Snacks, go to Rap Snacks to get the chips and the noodles. So, and a lot of stuff is at Amazon now. So we're constantly building this brand, and we're doing it owned by us, created by us, and giving our people jobs and opportunities. So, and the more we make, the more we give.
P, where can people find you personally? Social media?
Yeah, social media, go at Master P.
Just that simple, at Master P.
Yes, sir.
P, you are an inspiration. You say you pray for wisdom, but you have shared so much wisdom over the course of this interview. I thank you. I can't wait to put this out. I can't wait for people to listen and tap into your knowledge and understand, some of these things that you said was so dope. Don't look at you as competition. Look at you to learn from. Yes. And that's exactly what you did here, was provide so much education for young people who want to be successful, who want to be entrepreneurs, to learn from not just your successes, but also your failures. And I love you for that. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think the most important thing, don't be afraid to deal with the truth. I know the truth hurt, but the truth is going to get you over anything. I know. And I know a lot of people, when they hear the truth, maybe they don't want to hear it because of social media. But I feel like being truthful and doing the right thing, you can overcome anything. And like we talked about earlier, knowing who you're not, because you don't owe nobody nothing but love. And keep going, keep chasing your dreams, and there's no limit to your success. Let your failures push you across the finish line. And I salute you, my brother.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You are a true power move maker.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share. Peace and love.